we have a vibrant and interactive conversation today.
Yes, well, and last week was explosive, even
Yes.
after I left here, persons were trying to, engage the topic as well, so which is very good.
Nice.
Last week, just give us a recap for those of who missed us last week.
Nice. So last week we were talking about Mother's Day, and we discussed that Mother's Day is a great time, a great opportunity for you to celebrate motherhood, for you to celebrate those female mentors who really help to shape and to build your character. Though that's great, that day can also bring up some stuff for us. And when I say stuff, it means if you may have lost a mother, or if you may not have had a great relationship with your mother, then Mother's Day could be a reminder of that loss or that weird feeling you have towards this mother figure. So we discussed ways in which you can cope, and ways in which, if you have a friend or a family member who lost a child, how you can reach out to that individual, and how you could really be a better, you could celebrate Mother's Day in a more meaningful and intentional way as well, as opposed to just giving gifts or just spending money, but really understanding your mother, your that female mentor, and how you can meet their needs based on love languages and stuff like that. So it was really nice, really nice stuff.
Really, really, really nice. I definitely appreciated that, and I received that, and I know our listeners and viewers
because I'm going live, and you could ask questions if you're live as well.
Yes, I know they appreciated that. So this morning we're going to take a different turn on the relationship topic, which I know a lot of you are interested to hear about, right? So today we're going to talk about what you do and how others can benefit from what you do. So just remind, for those of them who are listening for the first time, of course, who you are and what you do, Dr. Benjamin.
Nice. I'm happy for that opportunity, because I know Natoya mentioned that persons were texting and calling in. They want to talk about relationships.
Yes.
And, I would love to hear from you. What would you like for me to touch on? Because, everyone has their own challenge or their own information that they would like to seek.
Yes.
But in terms of generally what I do, so I'm a relationship educator and coach. My background is actually in marriage and family therapy. I'm a certified family life educator, and so I teach research-based skills and tools to help you live, to help you engage in healthy relationships. And those relationships can be romantic, it can be friendships, it can be work-based, it can also be marriage. It can also be working on recovering from a toxic relationship, or something I like to call situationships, which is so common among persons, even older persons as well. And situationships is that thing where it looks like a relationship, it kind of wants to feel like one, but it's a pseudo relationship. It's not real. There's no real label to it, and you just feel stuck. You're not sure. Are we moving forward? Are we not moving forward? Do you like me? Do you not? That kind of weird feeling. I do help persons really clarifying that, because situationships are not healthy, and it's a very toxic situation.
I think I want to stick up in there.
Yeah.
I think I want to stick up in there. And I want to stick up in there because you see it happen very often.
Yes.
Here. Just in the world, as a matter of fact, not even here in Tobago or in the Caribbean or whatever. It's a global thing, and I like the name that you would have given to it, situationship. Yeah,
situationship, and it's across SES. It's persons who are highly educated, persons who are doing very well financially, but they get themselves in these relationships that are a one-way street. It's not fulfilling to you, but you feel like you need to hold on because you're getting something from it. Even though you don't get everything, you get something. If it's a text at night, if it's you could go out with this person, but it's not something that you really want. But we settle for it because we sometimes lose hope. And that is one of those things that anytime I talk about situationships, people jump up. Oh my goodness, is this a situationship? How do you know I'm in a
And I think we're going to open the phone lines to some callers or even some texters. If you don't want to be heard, you can text us. The number to call us 660 4895-639-8952. All right, you can also text us at 489-3828. 489-3828. Text or WhatsApp. Let's talk about relationships. We're talking about situationships, and of course, what you explained there, it's as I said, it's very popular. How in assessing something like that, where do you start?
Well, where I start is usually asking people, are they happy?
Yeah.
And usually when you ask persons that they're not, they're saying, well, no, I'm not really happy. Or I will ask them, are your needs being met?
Yeah.
Well, no. Do you have a label? Or are you just two friends who meet each other from time to time and go out with each other? And you're used sometimes as a arm candy. So if you look really good, if you dress well, then you might find people attracting to you just to show up in events with you. Or if you're smart, they would want to take you to an event so they could show you off. But they really don't want to build any type of intimate or long-lasting relationship with you. Yeah. And you know what's interesting? One time I asked on my page, can you be married and be in a situationship? Because people think it's just a single problem.
Yeah.
But I believe, and the persons who I polled actually believe that as well, that you could be married and be in a situationship.
Wow.
If it's a relationship of convenience, if your needs are not being met, you feel like there's a power difference, like you don't feel as though you're useful, you don't feel as though, your needs being met, or that you're going anywhere together, you seem fragmented and going two different paths, then you could be married or single and be in a situationship.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is scary.
It is very
scary.
scary.
Thinking about it on behalf of someone else, married, someone that's married and I've been married 9 years, but I'm in a situationship. I don't feel as if I'm married. How do you deal with that? How do you help someone out of the situation into a relation?
When it's marriage, it's a bit more complicated because of the legal aspect and the covenant that you created with each other. And so that's why I advocate for premarital, because with premarital there are assessments that you could use that are objective. And I tell you, when you use this with couples, they're like, I can't believe this assessment was able to bring out some of these things. You don't know me. How you know this about me? You're reading stuff and they're nodding and they're looking at each other, rolling eyes, and say, this is so me. And so I advocate for premarital because you're able to look at each other's values, look at each other's goals, your view on finances, your view on sex, your view on marriage on a whole, your personality type, your relationship with family members, your relationship with potential in-laws. And so that assessment is really helpful for you to start having those difficult conversations. So that's a preventative measure. But then if you're in it already, then my recommendation to you would be to seek help. And, ideally, if both of you can come, that will be great. If both of you can come in and we try to work on it together. But unfortunately, some people, some relationships, it's just one person who is interested.
And I even whilst you're saying it, I'm thinking about it. Why would one person, really want to come? We're in a relationship, we signed this deal together. But then I understand as well, because there are a lot of people that they might feel, why do I need to go and see a doctor?
Yes.
A shrink,
Nothing is wrong with me. Nothing is wrong. I don't know what you're creating problems. We good. And I've heard all of that. I don't need to go to do this. This is a waste of time, a waste of resources. But the couples who are committed to the process are the ones who are generally happier. Because relationships, it's like a car, a brand new car, even though it's new and it's great, it's working, you still need to take it for servicing.
Absolutely.
And if you miss your servicing over and over again, it's going to create damage.
And even before the servicing, it's about maintenance.
Yes, exactly. So even if you're happy or if you think your relationship is going well, it's still good to engage in marital enrichment exercises. It could be retreats, it could be trips, it could be whatever it is. But for those persons who they're in a relationship, only one person wants to seek help, I would say still seek help on your own. Who knows, the person might turn around. But if not, maybe that's a relationship that you may need to rethink. And it's sad to think about, but I tell people, stress kills. Stress is not something you really want to be living in ongoing and years and years, and then you wonder why you develop certain illness.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Guys, listen, the phone lines are open. You can also text us, of course, 489-3828. Text or WhatsApp us your questions or comments. The numbers to call are 660-4895 and 639-8952. Those are the numbers to call. Yeah? So, Dr. Benjamin, in getting into a relationship, what would you guide someone to do? That's one of our first questions.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And the first thing, well, of course, it really depends on the person's age, their stage of life, that kind of thing. But across the board, the first thing that I recommend that persons do if they're interested in a relationship, or just if they want to exist in this world, it's really to understand who they are. You would talk with people and they don't know who they are, they don't know what their values are, they don't know what their personality is like, they don't know their strengths, they don't know their interests, they don't know what their purpose is in life. And when you struggle with identifying those things, when you struggle with identifying who you are, you're going to be likely to attract you attract the vibe that you give out. And so if your vibe is a bit confusing and your vibe is you're just going to see what could happen, that's the type of thing you would attract. That's the type of person you would attract. And so it's really important for you to know who you are. Spend the time figuring out yourself. Spend time getting to know people, just people in general. Just going out and hanging out and meeting people, even though you're not attracted. You never know where that connection might lead you, It's interesting, when we were in school, like primary school or high school, it was easy to make friends because we were just put together in the same realm.
Because we didn't have any ulterior motives.
Well, and that's the other thing. We were here for something else. We're here for school. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, when we come out of school and we're looking for something, it makes it so complicated for some of us.
It does.
Because we don't want to seem desperate, so we pretend we don't want somebody. And I'm just like, no, desperation and stating that you're single and looking is two different things. It is okay. If you never state it, then people would never know.
Yeah.
I remember when I met my spouse, I was at an event actually, and I was speaking, and it's so weird. While I was preparing for the event, something told me, just be vulnerable, Crystal, because it was an event talking about what do I know now.
Yeah.
So I had just finished school, finished my PhD, and I returned home, and it's reverse culture shock. And I said, you know what, I'm going to share my story. And in it, I talked about being single.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, who comes to me after the event, trying to mama guy. I know he listening, so he probably giggling, but trying to mama guy me, say, hey, so you know what, I was listening, you have a nice voice, you have a radio voice, have you thought about, that? And we just started talking.
Yeah.
And it was kind of weird for me because I was in this place where, I was like, I don't want to seem desperate, so I'm not going to share my information. And my friend said to me, Crystal, go, you never could tell. It mightn't be him, it could be his brother.
Exactly.
Just make friends. Why are you making this so complicated,
Yeah.
She actually attended our wedding because I was like, she's the one who made it happen, right? But it's one of those things where you need to just be open. You never know who, if you are open and honest about your interests, who might be able to link you with somebody or something like that.
And it's about being transparent
as well.
Yes. And I'm glad that you said that, because just last night we were having this conversation about desperate. People who are desperate, and you do things when you're desperate. It's almost as if I'm hungry, so I need to be fed. But then there's a difference when you're open and just, as you just said, you're you're single and
yeah. You're mingling, you're doing your thing.
Yeah.
You know, you're not doing it for somebody particular, because I was there doing my thing. I was volunteering with a girls group and just living life. And then it so happened within 6 months of me returning home, I found the guy and I ended up marrying him. So let me check here to see in my life. I think there's a question. You're in a relationship and your parents don't like the individual. How can one deal with that? Ooh. That is such an excellent question. That's a heavy question. So you're in a relationship and I'm assuming you've brought the person around your parents and they just don't like the vibe. That, especially if you're close to your family, especially if you value their opinion, I would say have a conversation with them and get a sense of what their concerns are. Now, I know in our culture we're not so open about our thoughts. You know, you may ask somebody, so what do you think? I don't know, you know, my blood just can't take them. You know, we never...
horrible. It is horrible.
Yeah, we never really unearth and really dig deep to find out what it is, what in the blood, you know. But I would say try to have that conversation with them. And if you could even probably bring in a third party to help to coach the process through. But find out what are their concerns, because family members are sometimes able to pick up things that we aren't able to. So that's one thing. When we're in love, we can't see clearly sometimes. And then another, it could just be an adjustment to change. If your family is so used to you, you know, being a particular way, and then things changed when you enter this relationship, they could start feeling resentment or missing you and then projecting that as not liking the person. So the first step is really having that conversation honestly about what the concerns are, to understand that. And if it's just a matter of them getting into the person and spending more time, and eventually, because sometimes people warm up if the person is genuinely person of character, has great values, then because your family cares about you, they could eventually warm up to the person. Someone is laughing, what in the blood? Yeah, what is it about us in the Caribbean, or at least in Trinidad and Tobago? My blood.
I'm saying, right?
Can you explain that for me? Can you explain? Is it a vibe? Is it how you look at me? I mean,
I think us as Caribbean people, we deal with exterior when we say that. We really don't go beyond. And sometimes that is what kills that part of things. We have another question. The person asks, what advice would you give to two people who are in different walks with God? One is baptized and the other isn't, or doesn't go to church rather.
Right. So what stage of the relationship you two are in? Because if you're married, it's different compared to if you're just friends or if you're engaged or dating. So I would need to get a bit more information regarding that. But in terms of relationships on a whole, you really want to know what your values, your set values are, those things that you don't negotiate about, and you want to know the things that you flex about. And sometimes those values as we go by may change. So, for example, some people, I remember saying, I needed somebody who had a master's, right? That was my thing. Like on my list, the person needed to have a master's. But when I really delved and pulled that apart, what I really wanted was someone who could have great conversation, who we could talk about travel, we could talk about food, we could talk about so many different things, and that they're more self-motivated, they're determined, and they're valued.
Well, basically like me, I'm a sapiosexual.
Well,
with regards to that.
Exactly.
You need someone to massage your
Yes, and it doesn't necessarily mean a person with a master's could do that.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So sometimes we're looking for this label, but we need to really pull apart and figure out what about this label that because we might be able to find it without that label. So know your non-negotiables, those values that you're not going to negotiate about. So if you're not willing to continue a relationship with someone who is not baptized, then I recommend you keep that as a friendship.
Right. The person said, however, we're not married, but we've been together for 5 years.
Right. So that's a bit of time to be with someone.
That's a long time.
And then so now you're thinking about what is your next step. Is it that you're thinking about getting married? Is it that you're not comfortable with this person not being baptized? Because we don't go into relationships trying to change people.
Yeah.
We don't go into relationships hoping that if they're around me, they would eventually become something.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens generically, right? When we're around people, we end up being more like them, but we don't go into it expecting that because we can get disappointed. And so if you're at 5 years, I think you're probably looking at what's my next step.
Yeah.
That's probably why you're asking that question. Yeah. And so really think about it and talk with your partner and pray about it. Pray about it. That's a great point as well. You pray about the direction that you should take. Yeah. And when you pray, you take action. Because, sometimes we're praying and we're not taking action on what the Spirit leads us to engage in. So, really sit with yourself and your partner and find out, are you able, is it a non-negotiable for you? Yeah. Or is it something that you could flex on? Yeah. Think about it really carefully because, again, you don't need to be the same religion per se. Because some people in the same religion are not equally yoked. Right. They could be in the same, but if you don't have the same values, if you don't have the same goals, then you're not equally yoked. So really sit and think about this. Are you two a good match? Are you two believe in the same thing? Do you have the same values where God and spirituality is concerned? Right. You really have to figure that out, and you may need to make some difficult decisions.
That equally yoked that's a big topic, and even understanding that, because a lot of persons would think it's only based on religion, but it goes beyond that. Yep. And that's interesting. I even want to just jump as we're talking about pertaining to this person's question. Sometimes when it is the other person sees your commitment to God, they are inspired. Inspired to just say, she just really sticking her ground. She's there with me, but I'm sticking my ground. I love God. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm saving myself for marriage. And they would say, okay. This is the
right. So then,
because your commitment to God has showed them, okay, that commitment. If you could commit to God, who you can't see right now, what about your commitment
to me? Yeah. And I would even recommend, she could chat with me. I do consultations, 15-minute free consultations, and we could really dig deeper into it. Is it that what is really going on in that relationship? Because 5 years is it's a time, and the person has not become baptized since. Right. So I would like to chat with you if possible.
Right, so give your number.
So my number is 757-9963. My number is 757-9963, and the name of my company is Enriched Life Limited. So you could contact me and we could try to work on scheduling a free consultation and figuring out, how, based on your specific situation, we could work something out.
Excellent. Another question. For the life of me, what is going on with these people who are dating for 19 plus years? Doing all kind of thing behind God back. And not getting married.
This person seems so passionate about it. You want to be an advocate? Yeah, she doesn't understand. And what's interesting? Research does not support long dating. Actually, what they're saying optimally, based on research, it's 2 years of dating. Yeah. And of course, it depends on your age. So don't think you're 16, you're dating for 2 years, you're 18, you're ready to get married. It says that marriages are more likely to last if you got married after 25, and also they're more likely to last if you dated for 2 years or more. Again, this is general. Your situation could be you could date for only 6 months and last. I'm not saying no, but just based on research. Research also does not support cohabitation as people who... So in terms of research, what we're seeing is that persons who cohabitate are more likely to end in divorce or more likely to have unhappy marriages.
Right.
Again, it doesn't say if that's how you started, you're not going to last.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have a call. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Say Crystal and Tonight. I wanted to enhance what you were saying about not dating too long and then getting married. Right? I am a perfect example of like living with somebody for like 7 years and getting married after. It didn't even last 6 months. Because, you sometimes marry, like, you're with the person for so long and you get accustomed to the ways and you're thinking, all right, when they get married, there's a change. And so I just enhancing that where you say research says that, don't take too long in a relationship to get married. It is really, I mean, from my experience, it is.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Thank you for supporting that. Yeah, it's generally so. The average relationship doesn't work well if you dated for too long or even too short, and if you cohabitate before you get married. And it's interesting, they were living together for 7 years but couldn't last 6 months being married. What is it about?
I was now going to ask you, and what is it about marriage? I mean, I think we have this marriage banner gets mixed up. And I need you to explain that.
Listen, it's a tough one, to be honest. It's mixed with expectations, and she kind of alluded to that. She talked about, you're thinking when you get married things will change.
Expectations is a big
Expectations is a huge thing, and not meeting expectations. Now you're legal, so you might expect things you may allow to slide before, you may not allow to slide now. So, it's really... It's one of those interesting phenomena, and I would really want to do more reading and more digging into that. But there's something about marriage and the expectations that...
We have another call. Even before we take this call, I just want to share about this book, Love Languages.
Yes,
I started reading that. I got it as a gift last year.
Nice.
Yeah?
Did you take the assessment already? As well?
I think I did. I think
Yeah.
Right?
You could do it online for free. So you could do your love languages assessment online for free, and it changes from time to time. So if you've done it like 5 years ago,
to do it again. Excellent.
Yeah.
So we have another call. Good morning.
No, it's me again, same caller.
Yes.
I think analyzing back, it had a lot to do with you think you're living with somebody so long. It only comes in like his first wrong. Right? When we were often counseling, we didn't take it. It's like, I don't know you already, and you don't know me already, and yes, this is what we want. And the next thing was, I think you probably just think you wanted that title on the relationship. So you're thinking, well, right, I'm married now, and this is how it's supposed to be when you already living together for a particular time, with things being the same. So when you argue, it's like, well, as a wife, and you're talking to me as a wife, like, if you don't expect, like, it shouldn't be, expect to be treated a particular way because, well, it's just a title. It's a lot of speculation too. Right, because, we so accustomed with the TV relationships, you're watching everything perfect, where honey coming home with flowers, and the wife cooking, and it's a whole lot of it's a fantasy world, and marriage is not a fantasy, it is something that you live every day, and putting each other, accepting them for who they are. And if that's what's done, or if that is being done, then you realize, right, this is what I'm married into, and there's no way of changing that. This is why I married you in the first place, and not to expect a TV relationship just because it's a marriage. Not to expect a fantasy just because marriage is a word, yes, but it's also action.
Wow.
I like that.
Thank you
so
for
much.
your real life experience, because some people think we're just research based and we don't know, we don't know real life, but I'm happy that she was able to, as she said, enhance what I'm sharing. And we see that with couples. I mean, research is from real couples. When we work with these couples, we see these things. So she mentioned that and when she mentioned it, it reminded me of something I read. So in terms of cohabiting and moving from cohabitation to marriage, what we realize is that actually that whole process is a sliding process. Now, marriage, even though it doesn't need to be a big fanfare, it does something in terms of there's a marked difference between when you were dating to getting married. You have an event or you do something.
Right.
Sometimes with cohabitation, it's a sliding process. So you sleep over one night and then you end up sleeping over 2 nights. And then you're like, it's too hard for me to go home. I just end up sleeping over. Right. There was no sit-down conversation. Let's get this done. No celebration, no ritual. And there's something about that process that helps to create bonds. Because what we realize with healthy couples, their foundation, they are friends.
Yeah.
And part of being a friend and really working on that friendship is having memories. Right. And a marriage is a memory. It's something, oh my goodness, you remember this? And we could talk about it and we could go back. Yeah. But usually with cohabitation, it's usually a sliding thing. Hey, listen, you could come and stay by me. So. And then the marriage probably happened. I don't know how the engagement process happened for her, if there was any. Yeah. It could have just been, let me get married now. Yeah. There was no special parts. There was nothing special about the occasion. Right. And expectations. Again, expectations is huge, and the expectations that we place on marriage, as she said, now all of a sudden you're quarreling and saying, I am wife. Yeah. You know, she also pointed out they didn't counsel because they thought they knew each other. You could be married for 10, 15, 20 years and still discovering new things about your partner. Yeah. We change. Yeah.
A question here says, I know it just kind of out of time too, but I'm realizing.
Oh, yeah.
It always happens. This texter asks, feeling of no way out, shaken up, feeling I can leave anytime. My choice versus no choice. Yeah.
That sounded one, poetic.
Yes.
And two, someone who really could do with some help.
Yeah.
And I would love to assist you. Again, my number is 757-9963, 757-9963. One of the things that I realize about some of us in this life is that we lack hope.
Yeah.
And when you lack hope, when you lack faith, it's like, what are you living for anymore, you know? And that is one of the things that I've been able to help people with, to be able to find hope again in their experience in life and to really be able to pick up and live fulfilling lives. I know on my live here, so someone again endorsed similar situation, definitely expectations, and the concept of submission were different for both. And that is why premarital, and not just a slam bam type of premarital work, but with someone who could really help you have those difficult conversations for you to start defining and giving real life examples of what you mean by gender roles, what you mean by who do you expect to wash the dishes, simple questions like that. Who do you expect to clean the bathroom? All those things we get to talk about in premarital. Why long dating is not encouraged. Well, based on research, we're recognizing that longer dating, you're less likely to end up married or in a happy relationship. Right. And again, with that, I would need to do more reading just to get into the why of it. But we do know that you could lose, after a while, you could lose the essence of the funness of the relationship if you kind of drag it along too much. Because what we're seeing is that sometimes people drag it along not because they're not financially there, but to just make excuses. I can't get married this year because, you know, I don't have $1 million, or I can't get married because they're finding any excuse to just not get married. And so what we see, it's really a mindset. So the time is more of an indication of what the mindset of the person is, why they're prolonging this situation.
Yeah. That's interesting. Listen, I don't know.
Time went by.
Time went by. I don't know where time goes, but listen, it's always a pleasure even talking about things that could help other persons. I'm always excited about that, because the more we understand, we'll be better.
Yeah.
You understand? We will be better. And if you understand, okay, in setting up a relationship, I have to be myself. I have to be transparent. I mean, in growing up, no one tells a baby you have to do certain things. It's the process of life. We go through the processes. You know, at a certain age, as we were talking about earlier, you know that, okay, well, I have to, you know, I'm supposed to be with someone. I'm supposed to have a companion.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the stages of life. But, of course, understanding the processes of life is what makes life better.
And can I just add, I know time is running out.
Yeah.
One of the things that people assume we should just know is about creating relationships, sustaining healthy relationships. And what people don't realize is we learn these things from the people around us. So our parents, our teachers, the people around us.
True.
And sometimes we're picking up bad habits and we're not realizing.
Yeah.
And so that is what professionals are there for, to really insert the right and healthy skills to help you to combat some of these myths, because we're not learning it at home. Nobody's teaching you, okay, on your if you like somebody, you don't just slide into the DM and say, hey baby, you know. You could have a conversation. Hi, how you doing? You know, your profile seems interesting. And you know, how do you have conversation with people so you won't look like a creep? And that is what we teach people. You know, we could teach you all these different things that we assume we should know, but we really don't. We're making a mess of it. So
that's quite interesting. And of course, I must say that a lot of our young people, it will be helpful for them to go through these processes. You know, having been in a room recently and heard how some of them even tried talking to me, and I was like, listen, you take your time, young man, okay? So it's quite interesting. Alright, so well, give your number again. Of course, let's share that number and let's make better relationships, even if it's physical, non-physical, whatever it may be, with relationship with parents, the people around us, and of course our companions. So, you know, let's make it better.
So my number is 757-9963. My number is 757-9963. I'm a relationship educator and coach, so I teach you the skills for healthy relationships, and I also coach you through the process. And yes, I do help with parent-child relationships as well, because, you know, a lot of parents, children are thinking that their parents complain too much, they just argue and quarrel too much. So I help with that as well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Benjamin. It's 11 o'clock, guys. We went over as usual because time flies when we're having fun. But guess what? We're going to do it all over again next week with Dr. Benjamin.
Yes.
She will be here. And, of course, we have more of the Hope program, so keep it locked right here, all right? Let me give you this song. This one is from BBNCC, Can You Handle It? And listen, all that we've talked about thus far, God can handle it. So bring him into your relationship. Have a relationship with him first, as a matter of fact. And then, you know, just, he will take care of things after. And this is what this song says, of course. He can handle it. BBNCC. Keep it locked here. Our inspirational section is up from 11 to 12 noon. Send in your inspirational messages. And let's inspire each other as we head into this new week. All right?